Today we're going to talk about After Effects basic tools and basic animation tools. First, when you open After Effects, you go to File, Save As, and then Save. Put down the name of the project. In this instance, I put down AE, Day 1, and my name. And then after that's done, you go to Composition, click New Composition, and then you select the screen dimension. In this case, is HD TV 1080, which is 1920 pixel by 1080 pixel, and I'm going to name it animating shapes underscore my name. And then down here is the duration. The first thing you see is the hour, minute, second, and frame. So in this case, it's going to be 5 seconds long. And so now we have a composition on the composition panel. And what I'm pointing right here is the tools panel, and you select the rectangular tool, and you can choose a color of the tool, and all you gotta do is to draw a box on the composition panel or on the screen, and make sure to go ahead and click the selection tool up on the tools panel, and on the timeline below you're gonna click on the right side of the little box and then extend it to the end of the timeline, and then you can position the box however you want. Under the name of the file, which is shape layer 1, if you click the arrow next to transform, there are all these animation tools. So first, keyframe the position by clicking on the stopwatch symbol, then move it on the timeline, and then move the actual object on the screen on the composition panel to the right. So then the second keyframe, second diamond shape automatically created. Now you go ahead and hit play, hit spacebar to play, and you can check the movement. So a very basic tool. The next, I'm gonna go ahead and create another shape through the shape tool on the tools panel. This time I'm gonna make a yellow circle. And then again, put the mouse cursor at the end of that block on the timeline and extend it to fit the entire timeline. On the beginning of the timeline, you're going to click the stopwatch symbol again next to rotation and move the current time indicator to the end of the timeline, and the value there next to rotation, you're just going to change the value to 360 degree and on and on. And so basically you can either click and drag the value to the right to change the value of the rotation, or you can type it in. Okay. By dragging over or by bringing the second keyframe over near the first keyframe, it allows you to make the animation or the transformation go faster. So the shorter space distance between the two keyframes, the faster it is. And I'm going to keep making different shapes, this time a star. Every time you make a new shape, make sure to click on the selection tool on the top left upper corner on the tools panel, selection tool, so you can move it around. Now, as you can see, the anchor point is actually on the corner of the star. So down under the transform tool, what I'm doing is I'm just moving, changing the value of the anchor point left and right, up and down, so that the anchor point can be centered in the middle of the white star. And then click the selection tool and move it around the screen. I'm going to animate the scale and rotation. So always make sure to keyframe in the beginning, move your current time indicator at the end of the timeline, and change the value of the rotation and of the scale. You can either click and drag it right or left, or you can go ahead and type in the scale going from 100% to about 18% on the at the end. So the more cycle you have, the faster it's gonna spin for the rotation animation. But as you can see, the basic idea is there are minimum of 2 keyframes to make anything happen. And then the last thing I'm going to do on this particular composition is just to create a polygon tool and choose a different color, put it in the middle, and I'll show you how to blow it up basically. So place it wherever you want, but make sure to select the selection tool first and extend it in the timeline. Keyframe the scale in the beginning, move the current time indicator to the right side of the screen of the timeline, and basically click and drag it right or increase the value of the scale. In this case, I just increased it at over 2000%, so it can literally fill up the screen. So this is pretty random, but you know, just an example, the example of how you can change around the you know, to transform in the with the shapes. And now make sure to go to File and Save and create a new composition. This time I'm going to show you how to do a simple text animation. So I'm going to name it animating text underscore my name. Hit OK. Then click on the horizontal type tool on the tools panel, just like Photoshop, if you've done Photoshop before. But anyways, and I'm gonna go ahead and type in a text, Wilkim animations, or animation, and then blow it up. See on the right side there's a character panel, and it allows you to select the right font type and font size, just like Photoshop, just like Microsoft Word. It should be pretty straightforward, so you can choose any font type you want and hit the selection tool. If you click the grid selection or the center line, it allows you to find out the center of it. And then click the arrow next to the name of the file on the timeline. And under transform, I'm just going to animate opacity. So first keyframe the opacity on the time watch symbol. And then I'm going to lower the opacity all the way down to 0%. And then move my current time indicator around at 1 second. And then change the value back to 100%. So you're going from 0% opacity to the second keyframe of 100% opacity. The next composition I'm making is I'm going to show you how to animate text, but this time After Effects will pretty much do the job for you. So you first type in whatever you want to type in, and then I'm going to show you how you can do it in the Effects Presets panel. So once you type in, what you want to do is go to Effects and Presets panel, and then click the arrow next to Animation Presets, and then click the arrow next to Text. And then under there are a ton of different type of pre-made effects. So out of all of that, I double-clicked on Center Spiral. All right, so you can keep experimenting with it. So if you hit Command Z, which is undo, Command Z should be your best friend. Command Z, and then double click on fly in from the bottom. You know, different tool. Just keep messing around with it. You know, you the more you do it, the more you can get familiar with it. But every time you wanna redo it, you know, obviously you gotta undo first. So Command Z is the undo. Now I'm gonna make a new composition for the actual demonstration of what you'll be doing. But this exercise is not going to be required for grade. It's just an exercise so that you can get familiar with After Effects. In this instance, you're going to be animating logo. Just a simple logo animation, right? But instead of typing in like Wilkim Film or Wilkim Production, you know, I'm just going to type out. Your job is to make a logo animation with your name, production name, so that you know what to do. You know what you're actually doing. But it can just be 1 or 2 letters, simple stuff, and then basically throughout next couple of minutes, you're gonna see me. I think it's gonna be a time lapse sort of I'm going to go ahead and edit it so that it's time lapse of me doing it so you can see a little bit faster, to condense the timeline of this video. But anyways, so I'm just doing, when you make a simple quick logo animation, not only now that you know how to make a shape and move it around the screen and scale it up and down and fade in, fade out, maybe in your sketchbook, think about what kind of composition or what kind of color palettes you want for overall piece. This is a 5 seconds long, really short and simple animation. I'm just basically making all these individual shapes that are in different shapes, and with the right color combination, not just giving color variation and different tones, but also experimenting with value contrast. Some of the things that you've been learning in basic design and beginning drawing. Try to show all of that in here, and so I'm just keeping it simple and making it with just rectangle tools, but varying the size of it, size and scale, and then the contrast, thickness, thinness, all of that. So nothing too crazy, just a simple animation of this yellow bar going below the text, and then all of this colder tones combined with the brown, just kind of going left to right and up and down. And go to File, Save. And finally, you're going to go to Composition and click Add to Adobe Media Encoder Queue. That's basically how you're going to make a movie file or an MP4 file. So every time you want to make a playable movie file out of your project or final film or anything, that's how you're going to make a movie file. And click H264 under the name of your composition. Now it's a third party, like Media Encoder. It's a separate Adobe application which is linked to Adobe After Effects. Make sure to click the match source under video where I'm pointing, and then just click on the use maximum render quality on the bottom part, and click on the blue text name of the file on the top, and you can rename it if you want. Make sure you know where you're saving, and then and that's going to be MP4 files. You can see, hit save, and then hit OK, and basically what you're going to do is to click play button, which is to render and save. And once the blue bar on the bottom reaches the end, your MP4 file has been made. Now this is the end of lesson 1. I might have gone a little too fast, but you can always pause anywhere and then revisit some of the stuff that I went over. On the next lesson, you will explore how to put scanned animated frames and storyboard drawings on a sequential order.